Hi, everybody. Thanks so much to Bitchfinder General for playing a great set and having a great band name, and thanks to David Cronenberg's wife for similarly having a great band name and playing a great set. All of those bands have some merchandise out there that you should check out, including that brand new David Cronenberg's wife 7-inch limited edition release. They've got mugs also, like coffee mugs, or tea mugs, I should say, since I'm in England. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments on your own heart. I had no place to put myself, but I had lots of time. I had no place to put myself, but I had lots of time. I had no place to put myself, but I had lots of time. So I threw out some past and made room for more future. Now I'm standing on the scene between my memories and dreams. Balanced on the scene between my memories and dreams. Floating down the stream between my memories and dreams. And I see a better person waiting his turn to be me. And you don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments on your own heart. Now I'm running down the runway in between gigantic numbers. I'm running down the runway in between gigantic numbers. Now I'm running down the runway in between gigantic numbers, with my knapsack and a zero for a halo. And my halo's got a hole in it so it don't keep me dry. My halo's got a hole in it so it don't keep me dry. My halo's got a hole in it so it don't keep me dry. But it's okay, cause my brain is my heart's umbrella. And you don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments on your own heart. I had a girl I had to leave, I saw her face upon my sleeve. I had a girl I had to leave, I saw her face upon my sleeve. I had a girl I had to leave, I saw her face upon my sleeve. They kept talking, so I put it in the laundry. And as it spun and spun, it tried to ask me what I'd done. And as it spun and spun, it tried to ask me what I'd done. And as it spun and spun, it tried to ask me what I'd done. But I was gone on down the road out to the wind. Cause you think patience is a virtue, and what you don't know can't hurt you. And that events can change and shape us more than we can change ourselves. And that conscious attempt at growth is stupid, and I should just relax and be myself. And you even think it's arrogant to try. But you don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to do experiments on your own heart. We look back and say people were morons. They were lunatics, numbskulls, and harebrains. Because in old times, the bars allowed smoking, and ashtrays were built into airplanes. Such schmucks, those poor nicotine addicts. They'd freak out if 1 hour or minute their mouth should feel nervous or naked without some cigarette to stick in it. But if you could give me the choice now to end up as a lung cancer crone, to be hooked on Marlboros or Camels versus now being hooked on my phone. Well, at least smoking looked freaking badass for rebels and rock bands and rappers, men and women who did things their own way, cool cowboys and beatniks and flappers. But right now, with my smartphone addiction, just like yours, just like hers, just like theirs, we're all shopping at one big McDonald's with one drug for both rebels and squares. And I know future folks will all mock us, call us dumbasses, clowns, and unfortunates, falling prey to an all-day addiction, willing slaves to the corporate extortionists. They'll look back and say people were morons. They were lunatics, numbskulls, and harebrains. Because in old times, the bars allowed smartphones and USB ports were built into airplanes. Such schmucks, those poor phone and web addicts, they'd freak out if 1 hour or minute their eyes should feel nervous or naked without some kind of phone to stick in it. Those old smokers at work desks or discos, we look back and say, God, they were clueless to puff away, hooked in all places. No modern smart person would do this. Such smokers, such exploited suckers, so deceived by the cruel corporations that would prey on their poor helpless lung cells with that addiction that swept through all nations. Oh, but now we're so smart and so healthy. We'd never be such hopeless junkies. Yeah, but now we're addicted to smartphones. It's the new trick that's made us all monkeys. We say, gee, won't a smoker just quit it? Go cold turkey, be brave, be empowered. Because in cars or in rock clubs or diners, you keep clutching your smokes like a coward. Yeah, we look down our nose at those addicts and the terrible things smokers did. They couldn't stop it at work time or playtime. They'd even do it in front of their kid. Yeah, but if I try to go one day without phones, let alone get to total sobriety, those smokers would run rings around me. They'd all laugh while I die from anxiety. So just see who the more helpless victim is, with the addiction that keeps us unfocused, that now preys on our poor helpless weaknesses and swarms Earth like a ravenous locust. So those smokers were just downright lucky, man. It was possible at least to kick those things. Now watch me step out, light up, and check Instagram, because my dumbass is addicted to both things. Oh, they'll look back and say people were morons. They were lunatics, numbskulls, and harebrains. Because in old times, the bars allowed smartphones and USB ports were built into airplanes. I'm not sure how well this new cap is fitting me. Somebody gave me this cap after the show last night in Glasgow, so it's, I don't know, it's a totally different experience playing on stage with this weird thing on my head. I'm used to wearing caps. The cap is the eye patch of the bald, as I like to say. But this new one, I don't know how the set's gonna go with this weird thing that's squeezing my brain in this unusual way. But anyway, Valerie on the bass here is going to start us off on this next song, because we have to say thank you for coming out on a Monday evening. I think that really asks a little extra something. You've been partying hard all weekend. You've woke up with a terrible hangover on Saturday morning. You wake up again on Sunday morning with an even worse hangover and an ecstasy hangover, and God knows what you people in Newcastle upon Tyne get up to over the weekend. And yet this room represents the people who crawled out of bed. This fellow was on mushrooms all weekend. It's been a hell of a weekend, and yet here you are, dragged yourself out on a Monday evening just to spend your evening with us and with David Cronenberg's wife and with Bitchfinder General. A reference that I understand, by the way. Never think that I'm too much of a Philistine for those sorts of things. Anyway, here's our Monday evening song. bodegas and old street lights. Harlem looks so warm tonight. All those cheap desserts, memory hurts, I could die. I gotta take 2 Tylenols and close my eyes. Roll, bus, roll, take me off. A rolled sweatshirt makes the window soft. If I fall asleep, don't wake me up. Roll, bus, roll, take me up. I wasn't designed to move so fast. I wasn't designed to have so much past. And in my mind's eye, they all have so much fun. Nowhere to hide and nowhere to run. And then the sun setting on my youth makes that old shadow get taller. But it's all fine as long as the bus makes the city behind me get smaller and smaller. Roll, bus, roll, take me off. A rolled sweatshirt makes the windows soft. If I fall asleep, don't wake me up. Roll, bus, roll, take me up. 2 weeks out in the country and 2 weeks in town. Another $100 of medication down. Another sorry message that I need to send. And another situation that'll have to end. And midnight coming on a Monday night. I'm gonna go again, it might not be alright. It's a bitter pill and it's still the same. 42nd Street, Greyhound again. And if I get one seat, I hope it's the window. And if I get 2 seats, I'll just lie down. But if I get 1 seat and it's just the aisle, I'll still be asleep for the 100th mile. And then inside some kind of dream, and inside that some kind of me. And outside us rolls the bus of the time will go by till inside me I am asleep. And roll, bus, roll, take me off. A rolled sweatshirt makes the windows soft. If I fall asleep, don't wake me up. Roll, bus, roll, take me up. I'll show you the first little film of the evening. Well, I call these little things that I draw films. I call them little things, actually, which tonight they're not going to be because I have this wonderful giant screen. What a treat. So I have to show you some of my comic books. on this screen here. Cy, if I can please get the bass down in the center wedges, that would be cool. And let's see, the first one that'll do tonight, the first of these comic book little low-budget films, or giant low-budget films, I should say, is an old one that I recently dug out of the archives. I'd kind of forgotten about this one. I drew this in, I think, 2011, and recently unearthed it and tried to see if I could remember the words to this. It's a science fiction extravaganza, and nothing was, I really put my full budget into the special effects of this one. No expense was spared in this giant IMAX science fiction special effects. Okay, well, let's see. How does it go? Yes. Once upon a time, there was an alien inventor who traveled down to Earth because it's where her research sent her. She was trying to perfect a special sparkling appliance that would benefit her planet like all good and decent science. See, she came from one of space's very darkest outer places, where you could barely see your tentacles in front of your own faces. On Earth, she saw, right off the bat, there often were some lights, some daytime or some moonbeams or other ways to see the sights. This doesn't quite make sense, she thought. This place just seems so random. The sun is bright, my planet's dark, but Earth has both in tandem. Hoping to learn more, she parked her ship by some arcades, remembering to take her suntan lotion and some shades. She liked the way the daylight helped her see around the town, but just when she got used to it, the sun was going down. At night, she studied stars and flashlight bulbs and fireflies, but before she got them figured out, the sun began to rise. What a crazy planet, she thought, while resting in a park. How can they not get dizzy from all this dark, then light, then dark? Hey you, she asked two passers-by who happened to be staring. How do you deal with night and day? I mean, if you don't mind sharing. The owl and the kid replied, you're quite a creepy creature, but since you ask so nicely, we'll explain an earthling feature. The owl said, you see, a lot of earthlings sleep a lot. Like sometimes this kid's awake at night, but most nights he's mostly not. And the kid chimed in, some earthlings live nocturnally instead. Like this owl, they wake up at night when I'm fast asleep in bed. I guess that does explain some things, she thought when they had gone. And I've got some theories now to base my new machines upon. So returning home, she tested things until she had invented it. And then at a giant science fair, she proudly first presented it. To you or me, a bit of light might seem like something cheap, but to creatures used to darkness, well, it put them right to sleep. And with sleep now part of every day's new dark and light routine, you could rest all of your eyes and let each one of your brains dream. So you can imagine how delightful to them these new things would be. It's a resource we all should share, she said, and she gave it out for free. So they paraded her to the Walk of Fame, where celebrities had pentacles. They poured some wet concrete so she could sign it with her tentacles. And though out on that planet, it's still the dark they mostly choose, it's still nice when you get tired to turn on some lights and take a snooze. Yeah. I know it's like not as exciting as Star Wars, but maybe after I make 2 sequels and 3 prequels, and you like the aspect ratio, huh? I don't commonly get complimented on my aspect ratio, so it goes to show your weekend psychedelic explorations have given you an expanded consciousness to contemplate these things. Well, the aspect ratio is only because I just draw these things on these pads of paper. So, I had a bunch of this paper in my house and started folding it in half and drawing these things. So, I never intended them to be on giant screens. It's just an accident of history that the Jeffrey Lewis low-budget film archive ends up being in vertical format. But is that a thing? Is there such a thing as, filmmakers do like the letterboxed thing? Is there like a vertical letterboxed film? Does that exist? Right, but like as a theater thing, maybe that could be. Well, you saw it here first tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You thought nothing could blow your minds after your mind-blowing psychedelic weekend, but... Castles People are all words there, sung by the singing tree. Thanks, I'll send this one out to Richard. They say do what comes natural, just be the real me. Follow your true you inside of your head. But if I did what comes natural, I'd just be a black hole. I'd never get dressed or even get out of bed. I don't want to cook food or have to go shopping for recipe options or make out a list. And if the sink pile's higher, it still wouldn't inspire me to wash out a wine glass or dry off a dish. And I hate to start drawing, it's so pointless and boring. Why devote so much effort for some second-rate art? So I force myself to it every time that I do it. I just go through the motions, though I'd rather not start. They say do what comes naturally, just be the natural me. Follow your true you inside of your head. But if I did what comes natural, I'd just be an asshole. I'd be lonely and broke and probably better off dead. I don't want to walk out or go to museums, assemble a picnic or think of a plan on a rainy or nice day, on a bus or a subway. Why would I want to just because that I can? Or have to take towels and change into swimsuits, then have to go swimming, then have to get dry, and need to use sunscreen and work on a suntan. Even just to be lazy still demands that I try. They say do what comes naturally, just be the natural me. Follow your true you inside of your head. But if I did what comes natural, I wouldn't do nothing. I'd stick my head in an oven if I'd obeyed what they said. Who wants to book concerts, or check in at airports, or write out a set list, or find where to park, or talk about money, or memorize lyrics, or drive when it's bright out, or drive when it's dark? And why be a nice guy? Why be responsive? Why be responsible to family or friends? And even if I did something, it's never just one thing. I'd have to do something else after the first something ends. They say do what you want to, just be the real you. Follow the magnets inside of your soul. But what's inside of me is basically gravity, a meaningless cavity, a bottomless hole. Oh, the lazy sensations, easy gratifications, the corruption and gluttony, and sugar and fat. The me that I'd follow is just shallow and hollow. To just be a natural me would only be that. But if you act like an artist, then it makes you an artist. If you act like a sleazeball, then it makes you a sleaze. If you act like an athlete, then it makes you an athlete. But it's always a challenge, and it's never a breeze. If you act like you love me, then I guess that you love me. If I act like a dad someday, then I'd be a dad. So I could say it was true, the things I made myself do. Cause the things that I did became the life that I had. I didn't want to be drawing, or writing, or singing, or working for money, or working for art, or being a nice guy, or having a lifestyle. Still nothing ever gets done if I don't force it to start. They say do what comes naturally, just be the natural me. Follow your true you inside of your head. But if I did what comes natural, I'd just be a black hole. I'd never get dressed or even get out of bed. Well, this next song came about as the result of a songwriter suggestion. I got a weird email from David Berman, the songwriter from Silver Jews, and I never met the guy, but he sent me a series of strange emails just in the few months before he took his own life back in 2019. It was very unexpected. The whole sequence of events was extremely unexpected, and one of the emails that he sent was a suggestion to write a song with the title, I Want to Do Something Illegal with Amy Rose Spiegel, and a suggestion of a few events that needed to take place in this song that he would imagine that I should write. So he never got to hear the song that resulted from that suggestion, but we'll try playing it tonight. See what all doom pluckers sung. I want a world where love and brains and beauty are the only law. And there's a girl I met named Amy Rose, and I never said, but I guess she knows that I just want to be her friend and do something illegal with Amy Rose Spiegel. We wouldn't be rapey or murdery, just auto thefty or arsony. I'd even settle for a romantic act of harmless petty larceny. We can sow a swamp of anarchy from Maine to Amarillo, or just go bowling in our street shoes and tear the tags off of a pillow. Cause there's a girl I met named Amy Rose, and I never said it, but I guess she knows that I just want to be her friend and do something illegal with Amy Rose Spiegel. She'd love that I'm so obsolete, she'd love that I'm so obscure. She's so free and I'm just me, and we'd rock culture to its core. We'd go Bonnie and Clyde style, and we'd go crashing and burn style. Or at least I could be her lookout if she needs the jump return style. We could rock bags hand in hand, then skip the Mexican border, or at least pay for a sandwich slipping in a Canadian quarter. She'd text poetic esoterics and know I'd understood it. I'd say next let's shoplift topless, she'd say no, cause where'd we put it? There's this girl I met named Amy Rose, and I never said it, but I hope she knows that I just want to be her friend and do something illegal with Amy Rose Spiegel. She's so revolutionary, literate and bright, and I'm a darkness-addled piece of shit, but I'm basically alright. We'd roll the dice on daring heists and share a life of crime, or just pay for one bottomless cup of coffee and share it 2 ways at the diner. We'd seize 2 midlife crises and get middle-aged medieval, cause I just wanna do something everybody knows would be illegal with Amy Rose Spiegel. I want a world where I get to see what all doomed lovers saw. I want a world where love and brains and beauty are the only law. I want a world in which the sad and free are poetry together, with broken laws, a hopeless cause, and cool best friends forever. Cause there was a girl he met named Amy Rose, and it had no promise, I suppose, but something in her eyes had some bad influence on him, and all that certain women and certain guys can do is something criminal. You were throwing out sparks of pure power, sending signals from a mystery tower. You didn't bother making sure it would sink in. It was a different way of working and thinking, really wild and completely expressive, so creative and intense and obsessive. You were practically completely beyond it, and you were exactly just what nobody wanted. You were conscious and responsive and present. You weren't trying to make something unpleasant. You were just bouncing off of things that were trashy, and it was never very tricky or flashy. You had a vision that was clear and directed, and the ways of work were all unexpected. You were unbelievable and you were undaunted, and you were exactly just what nobody wanted. The second film presentation of the evening here will be one of our documentary films. Part of my long, multi-part documentary film series on the history of communism. Tonight we'll do History of Communism Part 7, the story of Cuba. Cuba is an island in the tropics, right on the border of the giant USA, where native tribes plus Spain plus slaves brought for sugarcane formed a mix that makes the Cuba of today. It was first claimed for the Spanish by Columbus and spent 400 years adding to Europe's wealth. In the late 19th century, a Cuban rebel named Martí inspired Cuba to want to fight to free itself. Then the US joined the war against the Spanish, and that's what finally caused Spain to lose its hold. So Cubans thought 1902 their independence had come true, but it became in some ways just USA controlled, because big businesses bought up most of the landscape. The Cuban presidents got wealthy overnight, while most Cubans in the country still had no doctors or money, lived in shacks and had no schools to read or write. And in 1952, the army man Batista had Cuba's presidential leader overthrown. But the US didn't mind, because he kept our business running fine. He even got rewarded with a golden phone. Then he let the mafia move down into Havana, where their dirty business could outdo the USA. They ran sex and gambling rackets where the law could never catch it, and Batista got paid big to let them stay. Many protest groups opposed Batista. One group attacked a small army division. These youthful rebels failed. They all got tortured, killed, or jailed. A law school grad named Fidel Castro went to prison. Meanwhile, 7,000 miles southwards, Dr. Che Guevara, a brash young Argentine, took a motorcycle adventure through the whole South continent and began to ponder all the poverty he'd seen. Che wondered what created such oppression as he kept traveling and learning more and more, till he decided Marx was right and he felt a growing need to fight against the crooks who kept the Latin countries poor. In 1955, Castro got out of prison. In Mexico, he met this fiery Dr. Che. Che saw a revolution where he could make a contribution, so he joined the Cuban rebels right away. With 80 Cubans on a little boat called Grandma, they set sail November 1956. Fidel's tiny army meant to take down the whole Cuban government. They must have seemed like suicidal lunatics. And the Grandma boat attack was a disaster. Batista's troops killed almost all of them with ease. While Fidel and his brother made it out with a few others, Che got hit but still escaped into the trees. For 2 years they outfoxed Batista's forces, while the rich folks in Havana didn't care. Urban groups kept on rebelling, while Castro's troops kept swelling, earning love from Cuban peasants everywhere. Till with the rebels growing huge and more successful, Batista grabbed a ton of cash and ran away. So with mass popularity, the revolution had succeeded in 1959 on New Year's Day. Fidel said first, big foreign farms should be divided, and that made future US business prospects grim. Fidel said old torturers and cops should be rounded up and shot, while the US made secret plans to murder him. The US launched a sneaky Bay of Pigs invasion, but the Cubans found it out and quickly won. But Fidel took this as a lesson for more security and repression, to keep watch in case of other plots to come. They banned racists and improved the lives of millions with roads and hospitals and schools and services. But they kept close watch on free expression, and they never held elections, while Fidel made sure the leadership stayed his. The US sent spies, saboteurs, and hitmen, while denying it in public constantly. And then, when the US cut off trade, Fidel turned to Russian aid, declaring Cuba communist officially. Cuba still stands as an example to the third world that big imperialist powers can be fought. They've sent doctors, troops, and help to others fighting for themselves, and in Bolivia, Che died when he got caught. Cuba's cigars, sugar, and multicolored peoples still struggle on in conflict with their giant neighbor. But now, with no more Soviet assistance, they've still not found a perfect system where rich countries can't exploit poor countries' labor. And that brings us right up to the complete history of communism, chapter 7.5, the Cuban Missile Crisis. But not tonight. A bunch of years ago, I put out an album that's all covers of songs written by the old anarchist punk band Crass. So we'll do a Crass song. This is a Crass song called Punk is Dead. It was written about 5 minutes after punk was born. Punk is dead, punk is dead, yes that's right. Punk is dead, punk is dead, punk is dead when it's just another cheap product for the consumer's head. Bubblegum rock on plastic transistors, schoolboy sedition backed by big time promoters. CBS promoted the Clash, but not for revolution, just for cash. Punk became a fashion just like hippie used to be, till it ain't got a thing to do with you or me. Movements are expressions of the public will, but movements become systems and systems kill. Punk was a movement when they all felt lost, then the leaders sold out, now we all pay the cost. And punk is dead, punk is dead, yes that's right. Punk is dead, punk is dead, punk is dead when it's just another cheap product for the consumer's head. Punk narcissism was a social napalm when rockstar punk bands wished they were doing real harm, preaching revolution, anarchy and change while they sucked from the system that had given them their name. But I'm tired of staring through stained glass, I'm tired of staring at a superstar's ass. I've got a face and a heart and a name. Am I just waiting for my 15 minutes fame? Me, yes, me, do I want to burn? Is there really something that I can learn? Do I need a businessman to promote my angle? Can I resist the carrots fame and fortune dangle? See the velvet zippies in the bondage gear, social lead and safety pins in the ear. Watch and understand that it doesn't mean a thing if the scorpions attack when the system steals the sting. Till punk is dead, punk is dead, yes that's right. Punk is dead, punk is dead, punk is dead when it's just another cheap product for the consumer's head. was dreaming of a mountain in the sky above the flood, and a forest, and a city, and a river made of blood.
Now the sky keeps getting closer, tries to pull me down to the river. Have I been such a wayward daughter? Hold my hand under the water.
Take my hand now,
I started shouting, I felt like I was
on
drowning.
that mountain above the
My
flood.
hands, they keep on
In
grabbing
the
his hair,
forest,
a tangled
make
mess
a
of slaps
canyon,
across the chest.
headed
So what
in
have I done
the
but
river
father
of blood.
you? Been a wayward daughter left behind on the riverbed, left behind in the mud and sand. Back to sky, I'm gonna thank you for the bad. Though I didn't
When
want
that
to, I
river
feel the harsh
becomes an
humanity.
ocean,
I forgot this
every
fancy
spirit
dance. Me across
of
the sea,
every
I'm bad.
man
Words I cannot see.
will rise up and we will recall that we are all but one blood again.
Rushing over me.
I was dreaming
At the
of a
sky,
mountain
keeps getting
in the
closer.
sky
Tries to
above the
pull
flood,
me down to the
and the
river. Have
forest,
I
and the
been
city,
such a wayward
and the
daughter? Hold
river
my
made of
hand
blood.
under the water. Oh, then I started shouting. I felt like I was drowning. Back, this keeps on plunging my hands. They keep on grabbing his hair. A tangled mess. He slaps me across the chest. So what have I done that father? You've been a wayward
Take my
daughter.
hand now,
Left
we'll go
behind
walking
on the
on that
riverbed.
mountain above the flood.
In the mud and
The
sand.
forest
Back to
will make a
sky.
canyon,
I've gotta
put
thank
it
you
in the
for the
river
bad.
of blood.
Though I didn't want to, I feel the harsh demands made by the darkest hands. He bent me across his knee. I'm backwards. I cannot see. There's still streaming out of me. There's water rushing over me. There's still streaming out of me. There's water rushing over me.
When that river becomes an ocean, every spirit of every man will rise up and we will recall that we are all but one blood again. I took my darling out to the aquarium. Sea creatures stared at us and we stared back at them. My baby freaked when she peeked at that 8-legged blob with a beak. She was too scared to speak. I said, don't be upset, it's only an octopus. Don't bother it and I'm sure it won't bother us. Please don't be upset, my darling, please don't get upset. the crowded last car of the downtown bound 9. She was brave, but she caved when the train was delayed. It was just the last straw in her hard, busy day. I said, don't be upset, 'cause it's not a catastrophe. Nothing will happen, and soon you'll be back with me. Please don't be upset, my darling, please don't get upset. My gal's got a headache, her ankle is hurting too. The boots she bought gave her a rash, and her wisdom tooth is coming in, and it's damp out, and she's having cramps, and she's so mad at me 'cause I didn't shave. I said, don't be upset, I know you're feeling sensitive. I'll try to be kinder and be more attentive. Please don't be upset, my darling, please don't get upset. Darling, I said, I'm gonna be 50 soon. I've only got rejection letters and a sense of impending doom. I think it's too late for me. All the comic book companies hate me, and I try, but it's always the same. And I guess my art is just lame, and it's strange. But still, somehow I'm always not suiting their needs at this time. And she said, don't be upset, you know that you're wonderful. Just keep on trying, and eventually I'm sure that you... That would have been nice if she had said something like that, but what she actually said was more like this. All you ever want to talk about is yourself and your comic books and your album and your tour, and every time I see your stupid friends, they just ask me where you are again, and it hurts, it makes me feel like dirt. I'm just gonna write where you are on my shirt, and I said, don't be upset, don't be in a bad mood, let's just go to a show and hang out and feel good. Come on, please don't be upset, my darling, please don't get upset. I'll do anything, baby, just don't be upset. My father doesn't really understand the music that I make with my band or without my band. His consistent comment about all bands basically is they should play more blues. So he usually suggests that I should play some blues because that's what he thinks audiences would want to hear. So this is, I guess, the closest thing that I have. I don't know if this really counts, but it's a sad song anyway. It's called The Last Time I Did Acid, I Went Insane. A sad but true story. It was a night in July, number of years ago. Why'd I eat the acid? I don't know. I wasn't thinking and I wasn't scared. Why'd I eat the acid? I wasn't prepared. The last time I did acid, I went insane. And I was hanging out with some friends, just getting loaded, when all of a sudden my mind exploded. I realized I was gay and I got paranoid. I was sitting on the floor listening to Pink Floyd. The last time I did acid, I went insane. And I was drawing crazy pictures, and before I was done, the picture started pulsing like an alien lung. And I said, oh my God, this has just begun. And it was 12 more hours before I was done, and we were up on the rooftop. And I'll tell you the truth, I was convinced I'd already fallen off of the roof. And these weird metal things all around that space, they were teleporting me from place to place. The last time I did acid, I went insane. So So we ran back downstairs where it was better to be, but I was trapped in spiral staircase infinity. And when we got to the door, I couldn't go inside, cause it was the gates of heaven and I had died. The last time I did acid, I went insane. And this kid named Grim, he punched a cat in the head. He could read my thoughts, that's what he said. And he described what it was like, but I didn't believe it. Like lifting a rug and seeing stars beneath it. Ooh. And the first rule of tripping was don't be with people you don't trust. The second rule of LSD, the rooftop is not a good place to be. The third rule is to be prepared. The fourth rule is to not get scared. The fifth rule is to have a good friend at hand. Sixth rule, I hope you understand, is not to look too deep into your soul, or you might find a hideous, hopeless hole of hatred, hunger, infinite, idiot, mindless, meaningless, nothingness, 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 nothingness. And that's what I did. And every aspect of life that I selected was instantly and brutally dissected. I saw a horrible emptiness within and the reasons behind everything. And it was at that moment that I went insane. Because I had always tried in my teenage drug-taking years, the brief time of my life when I was doing those things, I thought that I would try to find out deep philosophical and cosmic truths. I thought that was a good, respectable, philosophical way to approach the psychedelic experience. I thought, not like my other 15 and 16-year-old foolish friends who were just having fun and enjoying themselves, I would take this very seriously, and I would go sit and, they would be having a good time watching MTV and tripping out and having a blast. But no, I thought I would discover the meaning of life. And then on this occasion, 16-year-old Jeffrey did discover the meaning of life. But that was a terrible mistake, because I realized that having discovered the truth behind everything, I had destroyed my brain, destroyed my consciousness, destroyed any chance of living a happy, normal life. And even worse than that, I realized that I was going to have to keep this secret to myself, because I didn't want to be personally responsible for destroying the consciousness of the whole human race. And if this secret got out, so I would just have to keep the terrible truth inside for the rest of my life. It was a big burden for a 16-year-old. But as you can see, because of the fact that human consciousness has not been destroyed in all the decades since then, I did manage to keep that secret inside. But I think I can't keep it in anymore. So tonight, I'm going to have to tell you the deep, dark, terrible, secret meaning of life. Except, although all of your consciousnesses and lives will be destroyed by this, for which I apologize, at least if we all keep it within this room, within the Gosforth Civic Theater in Newcastle, we can at least save the rest of the human race from terrible philosophical extinction. So here's what I learned when I was 16. What I learned that I couldn't tell anybody about was that nothing is true because everything is true, because everybody thinks something different is true. And therefore, because everybody thinks something different is true, and what's true to them is the truth to them, then when somebody else thinks something different is true, it renders that person's truth false. So therefore, nothing is true because all of those things are true. Because everything is true, nothing is true, and each person thinks something different is true. But the worst part of that was that I also realized that that was just what I thought was true. I apologize for destroying your consciousnesses. That was the last time I did acid. At least I got some kind of blues song out of it. I don't know if Muddy Waters wrote songs like that, but Howlin' Wolf, they should have written songs like that. If they didn't, it was a lost opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. Relaxation is my nemesis. I'm not a nihilist, it's just how I exist. Relaxation's a destroying choice in which I have no voice, and I avoid like poison, because relaxation's not a motivation, it's disintegration, it's annihilation. An evil twin I'm not believing in, and I'm not giving in, cause it's oblivion. Relaxation is just television where they sell a vision, that's not my decision. Relaxation isn't in my interest to be gone in splinters like atomic winters, cause if I'd relax, you'd split me with an axe. You'd hurl me off your backs, I'd last an hour max. If I dare slow down before I turned around, you'd hurl me through the ground, I'd have no face or sound. So relaxation's not a nice vacation, it's the swift impatient force the world's impatient for. It's not my friend, just my brutal end, and I cannot give in, cause it's oblivion. Relaxation is a prize they offer, then they pry me off and hide me in a coffin, because relaxation means you'd all be leaving. I'd be hurt and freezing, murdered for no reason. Relaxation's just a word they bait me with to earn the faithlessness they burn to hate me with. If I stop sweating, you make sure I'm getting just some last bloodletting, then a fast beheading. And I tumble quickly and I cry out sickly, but you'd all be gone before the lights came on. It's a fatal sin, the way it's always been, so I cannot give in, cause it's oblivion. If I relax the shield and let my back revealed, you split me right in half, you spill my guts and laugh, so I'd be dead and lazy. Though you said I'm crazy, it'd be suicide, you know it's true inside. So relaxation's not a nice vacation when the world's just waiting for your violation. An evil twin, I'm not believing in, can't be living in, so I'm not giving in. It's not what I'd intend, I'd lie if I pretend, so though I'll never win, whichever rides begin. Roll my eyes again and guard my sides again. Relaxing makes me tense because it's violence. That's why relaxation is my nemesis. I'm a retired list, is not how I'd exist. Relaxation's not a motivation, it's disintegration, it's annihilation. It's not anything but where the end begins, and I cannot give in, cause it's oblivion. It'd be suicide, I know it's true inside, so I cannot give in, cause it's oblivion. And I cannot give in, cause it's oblivion. woke up on time, after shower we're fine. My exercise is getting better with practice. I can stand on the scale, dump the bills in the mail, and walk out while suffocating in blackness. So I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. All the trees shake and fly, tossing leaves in the sky. A squirrel stops eating and sees me. Then he's eating again cause he sees I'm a friend, and he knows he can just take it easy. And the morning returns and the steamroller turns till the highway is straightened and flattened, and the sun comes and dangles in warm happy angles, and I wake up and wish that I had it. So I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. Valerie on pace. Stress when it's tough, I can make a to-do list and do it. At the end of the day, I can sit back and say that's one lesson, at least I got through it. And there's a roof and a floor, and there's walls and a door, and there's a table and chair and a bed. So I must be okay, so how come every day I wake up and I wish I was dead? I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. I must be out of my mind because everything's fine, except for the fact that it isn't. Nothing's wrong. What's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong. What's wrong with you? I'll do one more film. This one is not from the science fiction film archives, and it's not from the communism documentary film archives. This is from the archives of biopics, life stories of various interesting people. So here's a low-budget biopic that I drew a number of years ago about the comic book writer Alan Moore. Interesting character. Some say the greatest comic book writer of all time. Alan Moore lives in Northampton, England, where he was born November 1953. He was a comic reading loser, then a teenage drug abuser, then he got expelled for selling students LSD. At 19, he was broke and he was married. Cleaning toilets was the job that he was worth. After further desperate stages, he was making comic pages, the only less respected job on earth. For NME and Sounds and other little papers, he drew small comics like Maxwell the Magic Cat. He soon began writing all sorts of 5-page science fiction shorts for Doctor Who and British comic books like that. Then a magazine called Warrior got started and let him write some longer stories than before. So he started Marvel Man and V, which blew away the industry, but at first were black and white and quite obscure. By '83, the US DC Comics grabbed him to write for Swamp Thing, which was selling rather poor. But when his stories hit the stands, there soon were tons of Swamp Thing fans, cause no one wrote comic books like Alan Moore. And then came Alan's biggest concept, which was Watchmen, a series like no book or comic had been ever. It was rougher, it was realer, but what truly sealed the deal was his techniques were so bizarre and new and clever. So Moore got rich, but he soon hated being famous. Pursued by fans and Hollywood and business sharks. He'd drawn his Magic Cat non-stop, but in protest let that drop when the newspaper made some anti-gay remarks. He quit the mainstream, seeking total independence, and lived a counterculture marriage made for three. But his printing ventures crashed, the women left with all his cash, and Moore seemed briefly sort of cut adrift at sea. But then in 1993, when Moore turned 40, he announced that he was now a magic wizard. with makeup and a mic on. He does rituals for Glycon, that's his deity, a blonde-haired Roman lizard. His philosophies inform his scripts and novels. He now sees writing as a supernatural act. He hexes films of his old comics, rejects his name appearing on them, and he refuses all the money too, in fact. In Promethea, he wove in the Kabbalah. From hell explored how myths shape modern life. When Lost Girls was his focus, he made a pornographic opus, and the woman who did the art became his wife. With Melinda, Alan still lives in Northampton. His daughter Leah is now a comic writer too. When he writes, speaks, or performs, he always disregards the norms, always striving to make something cool and new. So from octopi to occupy, they're in his crew, and a lot of strange things that he used to say have now come true. So happy birthday, Alan. Keep doing what you do. Yeah, well, I did draw this one initially for Alan's 60th birthday, and then I resurrected it for his 70th birthday. Now he's turning 73. I got to meet him at a festival a few years ago. He was presenting some stuff, and I ran backstage to catch him at his backstage room, and I didn't show him my whole story. I was just like, I drew this thing about you, but I didn't want to pester him. I just figured I would show him a couple pages. He was rather polite. He let me take a photo of him with it. And this is also a good opportunity for me to mention that my new book, which is my literary analysis of the Watchmen comic, is now out. I've got a few copies at the merch table. Yeah, it's just this kind of very deep analysis of Watchmen, so if you want to read, a very thick thing of me yakking on and on insanely about Watchmen, you can find that out there. Thank you. We'll do a couple more things here. Thanks. This is our encore now. Love having that giant screen. Maybe we can take it with us. That song about the river that we played earlier was co-written with our old friend Diane Cluck. And speaking of song suggestions, Diane suggested that I try to write a more positive song than some of my other newer songs. So based on Diane Cluck's suggestion, I ended up with this one.
Go Diane!
That guy's like, finally, something positive. I've got good things, so my perspective needs a radical twist. I know there's reasons I should exist. My life is good, I just have to insist. 'Cause there's so many good things on my list. And there's probably more that I've missed. I've got money in my checking and my savings accounts that used to seem like unrealistic amounts. And I even deserve it, I've had loving, though it seems impossible when I'm lonely. There were times great women wanted to know me, and I even deserve it. I'm in shape, I mean just enough but not too outrageous, 'cause I've been jogging 30 minutes for ages, and I keep up to deserve it. I've got art, to me that's where my skills always stood out. I've been drawing all my life and I'm good now, and I keep up to deserve it. I've got good things, so my perspective needs a radical twist. I guess there's reasons I should exist. It's obnoxious, but I have to insist, 'cause there's so many good things on my list, and there's probably more that I've missed. I'm successful beyond anything I ever could picture. I'm a small but thriving cultural fixture, and I think I deserve it. I've got friends for talking or for drinking or eating, from the oldest to the new ones I'm meeting, and they keep me surviving. I got out to every state from Cali to Carolina, to the pyramids at Great Wall of China, and I still can't believe it. My rent's cheap in the place I've always dreamed I would be. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, but I probably don't deserve it. And there's food, all the recipes the world has come up with. I've ate great things that I even got stuffed with. and I eat every day, and there's books at a level of such genius engagement, pure enlightenment and pure entertainment. You just fly through the pages, and there's movies, from the weirdest and your absolute favorite to your favorite no one even has made yet. Sometimes they blow me away, and there's comics, all those comic books at the heart of my life, that often were the greatest art of my life. How much joy they have brought me, I've got good things, so my perspective needs a radical twist. I guess there's reasons I should exist. My life is good, I just have to insist, 'cause there's 100 good things on my list. And there's probably more that I've missed. And there's ice cream, and there's so many flavors that I get. And there's flavors that I still haven't tried yet. It's just heaven on earth, and there's kisses, like when me and Sally kissed down on Mott Street, sent us floating like we ain't even got feet. I'm so happy that happened, and adventures, there were times I had some awesome exploring, all these travels and incredible touring, and I'm glad we'll do more soon. And the earth, just the smell of the dirt and the air, and all the water and plants everywhere, unbelievable life forms, and space, all the endless infinite and mind-blowing. Even just the little fraction that's showing is just too much to deal with. And fun, what the hell is this thing we call fun? It happens sometimes even to everyone. Can't deny that it feels good. And records, oh my God, so many mind-blowing records. Jesus Christ, there are so many good records. This entire song could just have been records. Even if the song was just about records, there'd be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I bet. And those are just all of the hundreds that I don't even know yet. I've got good things, so my perspective needs a radical twist. I know there's reasons I should exist. My life is good, I just have to insist, 'cause there's so many good things on my list. And there's probably more that I've missed. I squandered all proper opportunities to introduce my band while they were here. Now I'll introduce them now that they're no longer here. Perhaps some ghostly atmosphere of them lingers. That was Valerie Marchese on the bass. Thank you, Valerie, for doing a great job. That was Mallory Foyer on the keys and the violin. She's in a band called the Grasping Straws. They might be touring on this side of the Atlantic sometime, so watch out for the Grasping Straws. Mallory has some Grasping Straws stickers out on the merchandise table. And that was Brent Cole of the Moldy Peaches and the Candy Boys on the drums. And Brent actually has a new album of his own that he made that's really fantastic. You should ask him about that at the merch table. And of course there's the Bitch Finder General merch out there, shirts and cassettes, and the David Cronenberg's wife stuff out there, including those tea mugs, which that's a great item. We're gonna have to rip off that idea sometime in the future. Thanks to all the Blang Records folks who came along with David Cronenberg's wife. They've been lending us the drums and amps each night, so that's really cool of them. And thanks to you guys for spending Monday with us, despite being terribly hungover and, suffused with all sorts of apocalyptic visions. Okay, here's a New York City type of story. If I had a girl on 9th Avenue, I know exactly what she would do. She would wander around, hang out with the guys, find someone who's read more books and has bluer eyes. Then she'd leave me and I'd walk back east alone. 9/8 7th Avenue, now I'm crossing Madison, sobbing on Park Avenue, feeling bad on Lexington. 3-2 1st Avenue, going east with the wind, cross the FDR to the East River and fall right in. If I had a girl on 10th Avenue, I know exactly what she would do. She would wander around, hang out with the folks, find someone better looking who tells better jokes. Then she'd leave me and I'd walk back east alone. 9-8 7th Avenue, now I'm crossing Madison, sobbing on Park Avenue, feeling bad on Lexington. 3-2 First Avenue, going east with the wind, cross the FDR to the East River, and throw myself in, until the scum in the East River would drown me. The flaming rotten rats would surround me, the shattered cars at the bottom all around me, until I was just more scum in the East River. And when I become the scum, it'll be my job to drown all the pathetic hopes and failures of the next unloved clown. Though maybe it would be a girl and we could become scum together, decompose as the river flows and become one together, become one scum together, one bloated, rotten, putrid scum forever. 9-8 7th Avenue, now I'm crossing Madison, sobbing on Park Avenue, feeling bad on Lexington. 3-2 First Avenue, going east with the wind, cross the FDR to the East River, and fall right in. From the perspective from the west side of Manhattan. Here's a song from a lower east side perspective. Once upon a sofa stretching, while I sat there idly kvetching over many a lame and schmaltzy show of television dreck, till I made a wise decision and said, enough with the television, when from my fire escape there flew a pigeon looking for a peck. It's just some flying schnorrer, surely, looking for some crumb to peck. Only this, so what the heck? Inside my lower east side dwelling, while up the street some yachts was yelling, for how long there was no telling, while this pigeon pranced about, till, perched upon my icebox stewing, sat this bird, not even cooing. This pigeon, what does he think he's doing? He's just a pain right in my neck. One claw curled like a ratner's rugula, with beak for cocked and feathers for slugana. Oi, I said, this bird's meshugana, flying right inside like this. You see my walk-ups, nothing fancy. What makes you do this thing so chancy? Shoo, fly back out to Delancey, unless you'd care now to discuss this. What reason do you have for coming, if you care now to discuss this? Quoth the pigeon, Bupkis. Schmuck, I said, thing of service, flying rat, local or tourist. My icebox must hold something for us to satisfy you and send you off to flap. Some old leftover Leshko's latke, or a bissel of Moisha's babka, a matzo ball, a drop of vodka, a lek and a schmeck, some little snack. What nosh here can we please you with? Instruct us. Quoth the pigeon, Bupkis. So, turning off the Jimmy Kimmel, I spun a dreidel and scored a gimel and said, let's go to Yonah Schimmel. Surely there on Houston Street you can score a snack or 10. You must just want some nice knish to make you fly away again. Or sollst du stoppen and took us aren. 'Cause what's for you here? Condos soar. Old skies you flapped through are no more. Mom and pop shops you crapped on have closed the store. And Citicorp won't take your dreck. So, Losum gain, old days gone by. Nest now the Bronx or Bedford Stye. Schlepp off East Side Schlemazel bird to Flushing or to Little Neck. Geh bara de Vansen, geh weg. But the pigeon, I ain't kidding, still is sitting, sometimes on the counter shitting, staring beak first at the fridge, and his eyes have all the chutzpah of a macher as he struts around and treats me like a putz. Oh, this meshuggah off-toy pidge! So, We stay here, two old East Side klutzes. I'm still futzing, he still futzes. Me and this Kachleffel pidge. And we'll be happy with what life has ungestoppt us. Babkas. I know I'm really going over time here, but I have this, now that I've ruined your lives by revealing the meaning of life to you, I'm going to ruin, well, I don't know what this will ruin. Maybe it won't even ruin anything, but I had this idea that I would reveal not only the meaning of life tonight, but how I write my set lists. I've never actually presented this, and obviously because nobody cares, that's why I haven't presented this. But, so what I do when I try to figure out what to play, I have these files where I keep my different set lists that I've tried to keep track of. So I have my USA set lists in one folder, UK set lists, Europe set lists. So for example, if I was going to have a gig in the USA, let's see, how would this work? Well, I would go to my USA set lists and I would open up that folder and I would see everything organized by state. So here we have everything, the subfolders, all the US states, and within each folder, for example, if I was going to be in California, I open the California folder, and those are all the gigs that I have files for in California. You think it gets much more OCD than this. This is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, of how these sets get put together. So you can see all the different cities there. So now, when I'm putting it together, I might make a few notes. Arcata, California, November, this was back in 2022. So write down who was in the band with me, a few notes, who was on the guest list. So when I start putting these lists of songs together, I start estimating how much time has elapsed. If I'm trying to write a set about an hour long, I think at this point it's been 9 minutes. Maybe by this point it'll have been 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. So then I sort of figure out like about an hour long set. I try to end solo, so I allow my bandmates time to get out to the merchandise table. Insider tip for those of you in bands. So now, this all becomes more complicated and possible when I have more songs that I know how to do, and that depends on how long the people in my band have been in the band with me. Valerie on bass is pretty new, but we've managed to teach her quite a lot of songs. So at this point, the list of possible songs that I'm picking from each album, I know how to play a bunch of songs from each album. There's certain songs that, we haven't taught to Val or that I might not remember anymore, but I look at this list, we have about 80 or 90 songs that we can pick from currently. And now, here I am in Newcastle tonight. So my first step, I go to my Newcastle UK set list. These are all my UK set lists. Open up my Newcastle folder. Here's all the files that I have on Newcastle. I only started keeping track of these things about 10 years ago or so, around 2014 or so. So I only have, 4 Newcastle sets listed from the past. But if I look through those, I open up all of those. So I have over here, here's all the songs we can play. Here's what I played in Newcastle in 2022. Here's what I played in Newcastle in 2019, etc. Here's what I played in Newcastle in 2017, 2015. So now here's tonight's set. What to play? Well, each song on my list of like 90 possible songs has to pass through this gauntlet of what we've played in Newcastle before. So I don't want to repeat any songs if I can help myself. So I'll just go through one song at a time. Sad Screaming Old Man. Okay, we didn't play it in 2022. Okay, we didn't do it in 2017. Okay, we didn't do it in 2015. Oh no, we played it back in, 2012. No, it does not pass. It doesn't make it onto the possible songs for tonight. So, for example, here we have the last time I did Acid, I Went Insane. Okay, I didn't play it in 2022, didn't do it in 2019, didn't do it in 2017, didn't do it in 2015. It's okay. It has not been played in Newcastle, at least not in the years that I have files for, so it goes in the list of possible songs that I might play tonight. So, after I've done this for all 90 songs, I end up with a batch of 42 options of songs that I'm going to be allowed to pick from to make the set list tonight. Just in my OCD brain is going to allow me to pick from these songs. So from those 42 songs, I whittle it down, I start writing down the estimated times, and I end up with a set about an hour length, a little more than an hour, but I had to, my brain is really kicking me, I had to add 3 songs that I've played previously in Newcastle because the set that I put together didn't have enough rock songs in it. I thought, all right, I'll put in some rock songs, even though we played that one in 2017 here, we played the other one in 2015 here, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is the fascinating, now that I've ruined your consciousnesses twice tonight, I'll have to let you go. On that note, keep the secret of the meaning of life in this room, and keep the secret of the Jeffrey Lewis and the Voltage set list writing method in this room. Thanks to everybody, thanks David and Portions for Conces for having us back once again. Always an absolute pleasure to be in Newcastle. Thank you.